It's funny, in February, I was like trying to think about what to do for Lent. I'm not a particularly faithful or virtuous person, but like you try to do something. I already quit smoking, so like what's next? And I thought, well, I'm just going to read the Bible. And no, I'm not going to do a Bible study. I'm a Protestant, so I feel like I have a right to kind of read it myself. And I know, I'm sorry, I feel that way. And so I've been reading it since February, and I'm like about halfway done. And I haven't talked to anyone about it, and I haven't been just been myself reading it. And I've all kind of, it's like the most interesting thing I think I've ever done, actually. It's unbelievable. The amount of drama in those books that has been hidden from me as a regular churchgoer in the Episcopal Church. Like, wait, why didn't you never mention this? This is like unbelievable. What? But the two things I have come away with after reading the entire New Testament, and I'm up to Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, is with the exception of Jesus, every figure is like really flawed.
Big time. Like
flawed in a way where you'd be like, I don't know if I could be friends with that person. You know what I mean? Yep. Abraham enters Egypt and he's like, oh, it's my sister actually, take her. What? I was saying to my wife, who was a religion teacher, I was like, why didn't anyone, what is that? And she's like, maybe the point is that God takes people who are not perfect people, not only not perfect people, like they're so imperfect again, I don't think I could have dinner with them, and uses them for these grander purposes. That's the first thing I noticed. The second thing I notice is that people, while they have free will, of course, and they can make decisions and they live with the consequences of those decisions, they're not really in charge of the arc of history at all. They are being acted upon a lot.
Amen.
Okay? And I never really appreciated that because I'm American, and so I grew up with this feeling that we're the sum total of our choices. And, well, that's not what I'm reading at all. Yeah, people's choices matter. You need to do certain things and not do other things. On the other hand, you are not in charge. You are being acted upon by a world you can't see. And that, by the way, is consistent with my life experience. Like, I've seen that, I've lived that, I'm 54. And so I feel like it's really important to approach politics with that in mind. Like, a lot of these issues are symbols of this much larger battle. And the final thing I will say is I do think we should approach these questions with humility.
Amen.
You know, we don't always know. I was at dinner last night at 801, which I strongly recommend. Surprisingly good lobster, kind of weird for Iowa. I'm like, is this from the coast of Iowa? No, but it was good. But anyway, we were talking about candidates, and I was eating with someone who's a Christian, and I said, I can't tell if this person is a tool of light or darkness, you know what I mean? So we don't always know, actually, at all, and we should always admit that. You know, I've got very strong feelings about all kinds of issues, but it's so important to be open to the possibility that I'm completely wrong. And that what I'm espousing is actually destructive, not constructive. So just to approach it with humility. Like, we're all about 100 times more ignorant than we admit.
Yes, amen. Paul would say, I'm the worst of the worst, right?
Yeah,
so I would.
That's a good place to start.
It is. I would suggest keep reading the Bible, and I want to finish here.
I can't wait to find out how it ends.
I'll tell you how it ends.
I know.
We win. We win. Real quick. And then we got to wrap it up. But I think one of the reasons Darla likes you more after she meets you more is because you are very focused and you love your family and you think families are the bedrock.
Well, who else is on your side?
Good question. Some of us have family members that might, anyhow. But you really, I mean, that really just exudes out of you the importance of family.
Yeah, and it also just triggers me to judginess too, honestly, sometimes, especially with politicians. It's like, how do your kids feel about you? I mean it.
You bet.
You know, who cares what the crowd thinks of you? How many cares stupid votes you got? You know, if you've got a child who like hates you, or whose whole life is organized around rebelling against you, maybe you should pause. Like, what are you doing in this ballroom? You have a child who's like actively working to hurt you. That's a much more important relationship. And this is very common with politicians. They have family members, close family members, who really hate them. And I feel like, wow, you know, I have a lot of problems. I don't have that. And that is the most important thing. You know, I'm completely convinced that your obligations to other people flow outward in concentric circles. And it begins with your spouse, and then your children, and then your parents and your siblings, and then your employees, and then your coworkers and people you meet, and then the waiter at the restaurant. And I judge people by how much peace is in those concentric circles. Do you have a happy family? Yeah. You know, do they respect you? Do they love you? Are they functional? How are they doing? Do your employees respect you? Do the people who see you every day have high regard for you? And if they don't, I don't take you seriously. And I mean that.
Well, family's our middle name. And just I want to clear this up. You'll see a small I in the word family in everything we do. And the reason we have a small I is because when you have a big I in family or in relationships, you're going to have a train wreck. So we always say have a small I in all of that. Tucker Carlson, you are going to do great today, and you have this whole audience cheering you on and praying you up.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you.